Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat, lalong-lalo na po sa inyo, sir. Ang grupo po namin ay Group 6. Ako po si Maila Muslimin at ang partner ko po ay si Watari Dimasangkay. Ang topic po namin ay tungkol sa casting and welding technology. So, sa inyong palagay, ano nga ba ang casting and welding technology? Narito ang definisyon ng casting. So, ang ibig sabihin ng casting, ito yung tunaw na metal na nagpo-form o nagta-transform into solid metal. Ganito ang process ng casting.
The production method that waits for it to cool and solidify to obtain the blank or parts is usually called metal liquid forming or casting.
Did you know that modern casting is divided or subdivided by two, the expandable and non-expandable? So, here is another example of casting output due to the process of casting. Itong kutsilyo at itong glass. This glass is the example of sand casting. By the way, matatakal natin yan mamaya. The advantage of casting is from internal to external parts is kaya niyong gayahin kahit mahihirap na forma, size o shape ng isang material, kaya niyong gayahin. Here are the 10 types of casting.
The number one is sand casting. What is sand casting? A casting method for producing castings in a sand mold, steel, iron, and most non-ferrous alloy. Castings can be obtained by sand casting. The number two, investment casting. What is investment casting? A kind of casting method that usually refers to making patterns in fusible materials, covering and surface of the pattern with several layers of refractory materials and then melting the patterns out of the mold shell to obtain a mold without a parting surface, which can be filled after baking at high temperature. Number 3 is die casting. The high-pressure metal liquid is pressed into a precision metal mold cavity at high speed, and the metal liquid is cooled and solidified under pressure to form a casting. The number 4, low-pressure casting, refers to the method of making liquid metal fill a mold under a low pressure, 0.02 minus 0.06 MPa, crystallized under the form of casting. Number 5, centrifugal casting. It refers to a casting method in which molded metal is poured into a rotating mold and the mold is filled and solidified under the action of centrifugal force. Number 6, the gravity die casting. It refers to a molding method in which liquid metal is filled with a metal mold under the action of gravity and cooled and solidified in the mold to obtain a casting. Number 7, vacuum die casting. An advanced die casting process that improves the mechanical properties and surface quality of die casting parts by removing of significantly reducing the pores and dissolved gases in the die casting part by extracting the gas in the die casting mold gravity during the die casting process. Number 8, squeezing die casting. It is a method for solidifying liquid or semi-solid metal under high pressure and flowing forming to directly obtain the product or blank. It has the advantages of high utilization rate of liquid metal, simplified process, and stable quality. It is an energy-saving metal forming technology with potential application prospects. Number 9. Loose foam casting, or also known as solid casting. It is a new casting method that a combination of paraffin or foam models similar to the size and shape of the casting to form a model cluster. So last number, the continual casting. It is an advanced casting method. Its principle is to continuously pour molten metal into a special metal mold called a crystallizer.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Watari Dimasangkay. My report is Welding Technology. Welding is a fabrication process that joins material, usually metal or thermoplastic, by using high heat to melt the part together and allow them to cool, causing fusion. Ang welding ay isang paraan ng pagdidikit ng dalawang peraso ng mga metal sa pamamagitan ng init. Kasama sa produkto ng welding ay ang mga eroplano, makina, tubo, tulay, kagamitan sa bahay o ano pa mang ginagamitan ng metal. Welding has been around in some form or fashion since the 4th century AD, and the modern welding technology fueled the Industrial Revolution and are crucial to many modern industries. Welding is a very broad term covering hundreds if not thousands of specific materials joining process, even if you're not welder by trade or material joining engineer. Main welding process are shielded metal arc welding gas tungsten arc, gas metal arc welding, flux core arc welding, submerged arc welding, electro slug welding, and resistant welding. These are the only basic welding method, and there are many different variants of each along with the techniques that weld using friction, laser, and even electro beams. Each process is specially designed for different metal, and there are even processes that can weld dissimilar. Welding process induces fusion through some energy source. In the other word, the base metal is melted in the same way process like shielded metal arc welding. Use an electrode that melts to induce fusion on the base metal and acts as a filler metal for the joint. Gas tungsten arc welding, or what you might know by the name TIG welding. Use of tungsten electrode and an insert gas, usually helium, to weld the base metal that you find in a common between. Gas welding and energy beam welding. This process use gas or energy beam to heat up the material rather than current and voltage gas and energy method, while variants are fairly simple to understand its basic mechanics. Flux core arc welding is a semi-automatic or automatic arc welding process. Require a continuously feed consumable tubular electrode containing a flux and constant voltage, or less commonly a constant current welding power supply. Submerged arc welding isn't actually an underwater process. It's used a consumable electrode to weld under the blanket of flux, therefore submerging the weld under the flux to keep it safe from the atmosphere. Resistant welding, which use an electric current to generate heat through the resistance of two overlapping metal. This is just simple, slightly different use of electricity. Weld arc